Okay, hello again Year 10. First of all, before we get started, big thank you to everybody who has uploaded last week's work to Moodle or emailed it to me. If you haven't already done so and you're listening to this right now, please make sure that you do make every effort to complete the work, as we wouldn't want to fall behind. I mean, it's hard enough at the moment without being in school. And obviously online learning isn't perfect, but it's something. So if you're having any issues, please feel free to email myself or even Mr. Lewis, and one of us will be able to help you. On that note, before we get started as well, please try your very best to upload work to Moodle, only because it makes it easier to keep everything in one place and I can see exactly who's uploaded what, and I can give you a grade as well. So, okay. Today is lundi again, and it's le 22 juin, and today we're looking at the question es-tu en forme? So this means, are you in shape? Are you fit? Are you fit and healthy? And I got three main things I want to get through. That is to use the phrase il faut. Now, il faut is an extremely important phrase. It's a mark gainer. It's got a weird translation, as you'll see in a second. But it shows up everywhere throughout the course, so it's really worth knowing. This ties in with saying what you must and mustn't do to keep fit and healthy, and with that we'll be looking at one or two GCSE style activities that might be asked of you when you sit your exams. Okay, so to begin. Alright, so que faut-il faire pour être en forme? Now, what must you do to be in shape? So from here you can see the key word of the day, the key phrase il faut, and I've got a couple of examples here in red. We've got il faut bien manger. You should all recognise manger. We've got il faut faire de la marche à pied. One or two of you in last week's work used the word la marche. And we've got il faut there with negatives as well. Il ne faut pas manger le fast-food tous les jours. Il ne faut pas toujours rester devant la télé. So, if you have not figured this out already, il faut bien manger, you have to eat well. Now, when you see the word bien, you normally think, alright, well that means good, and you are right, but that wouldn't make much sense if you translated word for word here. You have to good eat, so you have to eat well. Anytime you see the word bien in front of a verb, it means well. Il faut faire de la marche à pied, you have to walk. You should see now that il faut means you have to, or you must, it's necessary, etc. And then of course with the negatives, il ne faut pas manger le fast-food tous les jours, you mustn't eat fast food every day. Why are my two examples a bit different here? Well, you have to and you must, pretty much the same thing, aren't they, in English? It just means this idea of necessity. And finally, il ne faut pas toujours rester devant la télé, you mustn't always stay in front of the TV to be in shape. You may have completed Netflix by now, but yeah, it's not good in order to stay in shape. Okay, so now il faut, the takeaway here, you might want to write this down somewhere in your French book or on your file that you're typing on. Il faut, you must, you have to, it's necessary to. And you can make that you mustn't, it's not necessary, etc. by putting ne and pas around the word faut. Okay, now something to point out is this. Il faut and il ne faut pas, they are always followed by something called an infinitive. Now get used to this word because it's quite technical, it's a linguistic phrase. It basically means verb. As you can see in the example underneath, il faut manger sainement, you must to eat healthily. Obviously that doesn't make too much sense when you translate straight away to English, but effectively, that is what it's saying. If you remember, a verb is any word in French that ends in er, ir, or re, and it's that bit, that er bit, that means to in English. So manger, we know, means to eat. That er bit is the to. It's always il faut or il ne faut pas, then a verb, and then whatever the detail is. What you wouldn't get is something like this. you'd never see something like il faut je fumer. Now in this example, this person is trying to say, oh, you must, or I must smoke. I don't know why you'd say that, but you never know. It would always be il faut fumer. One must smoke. No je, it gets rid of it. Il faut kind of eats it up. Okay, il faut. The first exercise that we're really going to do is a listening exercise. Now it's going to be quite difficult to do this. You're going to have to, via online learning. So I'm just going to say the phrases, and what I need you to do is to listen to my 9 statements, put them into the correct column according to whether you think you should or shouldn't do them in order to stay in shape or be healthy. So for example, you can see that number 1 is done for us. If I said manger 5 fruits ou 5 légumes par jour, that would have to go into the il faut column, because you have to eat at least 5 fruit or veg a day to be in shape. Now that's all I really need you to do. To do this, you could set it out in a table as so, and rather than typing that all out, you could just put statement 1, statement 2, and so on. If you're feeling extremely clever, you could give what they mean in English as well. I will go through this at the end. So number 1, manger 5 fruits ou 5 légumes par jour, goes into the il faut column. Okay, here we go. I will say each phrase twice, because that is how it will be done in your listening exam, whether you do foundation or higher. When it's gone, it's gone. At this stage, you've got to think about exam technique, alright? Listen to the words that you definitely know, listen to the verbs, because very often verbs carry quite a lot of weight in a sentence, they give you the gist of it. Listen out for words that sound like English, If in doubt, don't leave anything blank. If you're going to listen to number 4, for example, and you haven't got a clue, well, it's either going to be in column 1 or column 2. Don't leave anything blank. No one ever got any marks by leaving anything blank. Okay, here we go. Number 1 is done for us. We will begin with statement 2, which is manger trop de chips ou de bonbons. Do you think il faut manger trop de chips ou de bonbons, or il ne faut pas? That's manger trop de chips ou de bonbons. Okay, number 3. Same idea, either in il faut or il ne faut pas. For se coucher de bonne heure. Se coucher de bonne heure. Now, in order to stay healthy, is that il faut se coucher de bonne heure, or il ne faut pas se coucher de bonne heure? Now, if you have no idea, always have a guess. Number 4. Boire plus d'eau. Boire plus d'eau. Okay, now hopefully that one's fairly straightforward. Boire plus d'eau. Number 5, numéro 5. Il faut ou il ne faut pas prendre de drogue. Prendre de drogue. What column would that go into? Prendre de drogue. Numéro 6. Il faut ou il ne faut pas faire plus de sport. Faire plus de sport. Numéro 7. Number 7. Il faut ou il ne faut pas marcher. il faut, il ne faut pas marcher. 8. Fumer. Fumer. And finally, numéro 9, il faut ou il ne faut pas boire des boissons sucrées. Boire des boissons sucrées. Okay, so because I'm feeling nice, I'll just go through numbers 2 to 9 again. Number 2, manger trop de chips ou de bonbons. Number 3, se coucher de bonne heure. Number 4, boire plus d'eau. Number 5, prendre de drogue. 6, faire plus de sport. 7, marcher. 8, fumer. And 9, boire des boissons sucrées. Okay, now on the next slide we'll show you the answers, and after that we will go through what they mean in English. Remember, listening, don't be scared of it. It is traditionally one of the exams that freaks people out the most. Just relax. The more you listen to French on your own, like on YouTube, or put in your favourite film into French with the English subtitles underneath, that can really help you get used to the language. Here we go. Alright, so as you can see, the answers come in front of the statement. Number 2, il faut manger trop de chips ou de bonbons. It's obviously you mustn't, because that means eat too many crisps or sweets. Number 3, il faut se coucher de bonne heure. To be healthy, you should go to bed early. 4, il faut boire d'eau. Drink more water. 5, il ne faut pas prendre de drogue. You should not take drugs. 6, do more sport. Il faut. 7, now originally this was a longer sentence, I shortened it for us. Il faut marcher, walk, as opposed to taking the bus, if you can read underneath the line. But il faut marcher, walk. 8, il ne faut pas fumer. Shouldn't smoke. And finally, il ne faut pas boire de boissons sucrées. Now I'm not sure if this might be cut off on your screen, but that's, you should not drink sugary drinks. Great, so give yourself a mark out of 9. Obviously we'll all have at least 1, because we did number 1 to begin with, and we will move on. Okay, so this next exercise isn't actually something that you would be asked to do in your exam at all, but it's just a weird thing to get you used to reading and making sense of sentences and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's telling you to trouver le bon ordre. Now that's a problem already because your instructions are in French. That'll happen sometimes. Trouver, find the right order. So this block of text here, as it is a complete nonsense, right? Pour moi, il est important d'être enfumé. That doesn't make any sense. All of the sentences are in the wrong order. Now obviously you're not gluing into books, but that first sentence is sentence number 1. What you need to do now is find the next part of the sentence. It could be any one of the sentences underneath. Now we're going to do the first one for you. Pour moi, il est important d'être en... How do you attack this? When you think, well, for me it's important to be in... Think about what we've been doing. It's all about staying fit, staying in shape. Think about the title of your lesson. Il est important d'être en forme. That is sentence number 2. You read on. Donc, therefore, je mange sain et je fais beaucoup. you now need to find which of the remaining sentences could be the third one, and so on. Now for this I'm going to allow dictionaries, but try to limit their use because you're not going to have a dictionary in the actual exam. But the reason they're allowed here is because this isn't an exam type exercise, so it's okay. I would encourage that you don't use Google Translate. It's not always very accurate. You're better off with things like wordreference.com, but even that will only do single sentences. It won't do single words. It won't do full sentences. On the next slide you will see the complete order, so don't turn over until you are ready to mark yourself. I'm going to do that now. At this point it might be a good idea to pause or just set the computer to one side just so you can do your answers, and it should look a little bit like this. Pour moi, il est important d'être en forme. For me it's important to be in shape. Donc, therefore, je mange sain et je fais beaucoup d'exercice. I eat healthily and I do a lot of exercise. La semaine dernière, par exemple, last week for example, je suis allé 3 fois à la gym. I went 3 times to the gym. J'ai fait, past tense, de la salsa. I did some salsa. Et un cours d'aérobic, an aerobics class. Je n'ai jamais, that's in bold because it's a nice phrase, I'll explain it in a minute. Je n'ai jamais fumé. I've never smoked. So here you've got a negative in the past tense. So that's good, isn't it? Je n'ai jamais fumé. Et je ne mange plus de chips parce que c'est trop gras. And I no longer eat crisps because it's too fattening, too fatty. Ma faiblesse, my weakness, c'est le chocolat. Of course. Mais je n'en mange pas beaucoup, but I don't eat a lot of it. That EN right here, that's it being the chocolate. Je ne dors que 7 heures par nuit en semaine, and there's one of our negatives from last week. Je ne dors que, I only sleep 7 hours per night in the week, mais le weekend, je fais la grasse matinée. So, je fais la grasse matinée is a really, it's an idiom. It's a mark gainer. It translates literally quite weirdly. Je fais de la grasse matinée. I do the fat morning. And that obviously doesn't make any sense, hence why it's an idiom. Je fais la grasse matinée. I have a lie-in. Okay, so that exercise was to test your reading skills. As I say, it's not something that you'd be expected to do in an exam, but hopefully you've had a good go at that. It doesn't matter if you got it spot on or if you really struggled with it. It's all about reading. The more you're reading, the more it'll stick in your head, and obviously there's some handy little phrases there that you might want to use. Alright, moving on. Now there's loads of these that exist. All I'm looking for here is how many of the 40 phrases can you give the English for. These are the little words and the little phrases that sometimes show up in translation. For example, you need to go from French into English and they're easily forgotten. I mean, some of them are obvious. I mean, if you've come to GCSE French and you don't know the word et, there's a problem. But there's more and more there that might be useful, particularly as we go through the course and you start looking to write in the future tense, the past tense, so on and so forth. So what I want here is for you to perhaps just write down numbers 1 to 40 and give me the English for as many of those as you can. Okay? Again, do as many as you can off the top of your head, and then you can use a dictionary to find the others. Send them through to me and I will mark them for you. Alright, now when you are done with that, more on translation. Right, now translation forms 3% of your overall grade. 3% isn't a lot, right? If you had 97 out of 100 on a test, you'd take it. It would be a great result, but very often you'll find that 3% is the difference between different grades. It's the difference between your A and your A star. Very often it's the difference between, A or A star, or maybe even a C and a D, and that's where it becomes really, really important. Now, arguably, it's easier, this is a debate I have with all the classes every year, is it easier excuse me, to translate from French into English or English into French? Who knows? Both types will come up during the course of your exam. I've taken this one from the GCSE textbook, which I referred to last week. There will be one or two phrases in here that you don't know or you're not sure of. Not a problem, okay? Don't panic about that. To that note, it's the phrases I've underlined are the ones I think will cause you the most issues. Try not to do this with a dictionary, right? Try not to use any books for it. Just think. Most of it is fairly, you can work it out. If a word looks like the English or has the same sort of sound or the same letters, mostly, then it's usually the same thing. If you definitely don't know, you've got no idea, just leave it blank. You don't need to be spot on either. We've already seen today that sometimes when you translate word for word, meaning can be lost a little bit. So when you translate it into English, write it so that it makes sense in English. Okay? And we'll go from there and we'll see how you do. So, l'aquagym est un bon exercice pour garder la forme. On fait de l'exercice dans l'eau. C'est un bon sport pour le matin. L'aquagym est bon pour l'esprit et le physique. Tout le monde peut la faire à la piscine près de chez soi. The reason I've read it is because sometimes it might help if you hear the words. They might think, oh, well, the way he says that in French is quite fairly similar to the English. Sometimes that can help. So remember, this is going into English. I will mark that as well when you submit it. Okay. And finally, I believe this is the last exercise. It's a reading task. Reading is, I would say, it's probably the easiest exam to get the higher marks on because, yes, you'll have a time limit, of course, but you can take this in your own time. With listening exams, listening exercises, once they've gone, they've gone. You're not going to get them back. At least with this, you can read it, take your time about it, you can highlight, you can... whatever works for you, okay? There's lots of different ways to attack a reading. I'm not going to read all this out. We'll be here forever. But just obviously have a read. Don't just dive into the questions without reading it. You need to have an idea of what they're saying. For the questions, they do go in order, okay? I haven't mixed them up in any way. So your questions are here. They are in English, so therefore you can answer in English. So for paragraph 1, where it says pour moi, I want you to describe this person's breakfast and what 2 pieces of veg does this person dislike. So the clue there is dislike. You might be looking for a negative, perhaps a ne pas. For paragraph 2, where it's starting je vais à l'école, what does this person say about their mode of transport to school? This person says they enjoyed their football match despite what? So here, thinking about your technique, I'd be looking for where they start talking about football, and so on and so forth. Now that is a tough question. See how you do. And finally, for paragraph 3, what advice does this person give at the end of paragraph 2? So of course we go straight to paragraph 2. It's likely to be the last line. Go from there. And for paragraph 3, overall, do you think this person is healthy? Please give at least 3 examples from the text to back up your answer. Any 3 examples. Now ask for 3, don't give 2. Don't give 4. Because what the exam board do now is if you give 4, you're getting 0 marks, even if 3 of the 4 are correct. Getting 0 marks because they're saying that you're not reading the question properly. And that'll be that. So if you type up all your answers onto the same file, upload it to Moodle. I want this in again by this time next week, where I will then upload the following lesson. Any issues in the meantime, please either email me or speak to Mr. Lewis if you can. Good luck. I hope this was okay for you. If there's any questions, if there's anything you haven't understood or you want me to just go over or type up, please contact me at cullertonm@hubcymru.net. If you haven't emailed me before, just start typing in CULLET and then eventually you'll see my face pop up and you can go from there. And hopefully by the end of that, you'll be building up your vocabulary and phrases related to health and fitness. You'll be using il faut and il ne faut pas quite easily, and hopefully we'll be building up our bank of words like this, which add a lot of weight to your speaking and your writing. Thank you very much.